The foundation of any dynamic site is a database. With this video I will show you how to create the database and the tables required for the project. The database that I will be using is called SQLite. Don't let the name fool you, this is a great database for any small to medium-sized business. Large enterprises tend to use more robust databases and servers. Hi, I'm Ben Plessier and, like you, a fervent user of Wappler. Thanks to the database manager in Wappler, it's really easy to set up a SQLite database, create tables and add data to the tables. In Wappler, I open the database manager and hit the plus icon. This opens the database connection dialog. Here I enter the name of the connection. For the database, I choose SQLite. SQLite is a small, fast, self-contained, full-featured SQL database engine. As it's self-contained, it means you don't have to run any database server. This is going to be a new database file. I therefore hit the plus button. In the pop-up dialog, I enter the name of the database file. I have called it database. Notice that the file is placed above the site's public folder. This is for security reasons. If the file is placed in the public folder, a simple HTTP request could reveal its contents. I save the connection file and am done creating the database. I apologize for the anticlimax, Wappler is to blame. The next step is a lot more tedious. This is the creation of the database tables. 4 of these tables are required, namely users, recipes, categories, and comments. To add a table, I right-click Tables and choose New Table. This creates a new line where I can enter the name of the table. In this case I enter users. When I click away from the table name, the database manager automatically creates an ID field. It is prudent that every database table has an ID field for easy identification. The type of field is increments. This means that the value of the field automatically increments 1 unit for every record that is created. There may be occasions where you hear column instead of field. These two terms are interchangeable. My preference is to stay with the term field. The same goes for row and record where my preference is the term record. Before I add another field, let me change the name of the ID field. I rename it to user ID. The reason for this is that, if left, all of the other tables will have the same name for the ID field. This can be confusing when creating database queries down the track. For the next field, I right-click the last field and choose New Field. I enter the name of the field. In this case I call it first name. The database manager has automatically given the field a type of string. If you come from other database systems such as MySQL, you notice that they use static typing. It means when you declare a column with a specific data type, that column can store only data of the declared data type. Different from other database systems, SQLite uses dynamic type system. In other words, a value stored in a column determines its data type, not the column's data type. In addition, you don't have to declare a specific data type for a column when you create a table. In case you declare a column with the integer data type, you can store any kind of data type such as text and blob. SQLite will not complain about this. Also different from other databases, string does not require a value for the length. The next field is last name and I follow the same procedure as for the first name field. Ditto for email and password. For the user group, I change the type to integer and give it a default of 1. To explain. The value of 1 equates to user, 2 equates to moderator and 3 to administrator. When a new user registers, they will not be given an option to enter a user group. In that case the user group will default to user. For status, a type is also changed to integer with a default value of 0. 0 equates to active, 1 equates to archived. The last field is named created. This is the date when the user record was created. The type is changed to timestamp, the default is now. If I were to exit Wappler now, all of the work in creating the users table would be lost. What I need to do now is to submit the changes to the database for storage. To do this, I hit the Apply Changes button. In the dialog that pops up, I enter a short description of the changes. When I click on OK, we see that the changes have been applied. For the creation of the next table, I right-click Tables. I enter the name of the table. In this case, I have named it Categories. I rename the ID field. And add the name and description fields. Don't forget to submit the changes. Then comes the recipes table. After the ID field, I add a field that contains a foreign key for the category ID. Because it is a foreign key, meaning that it belongs to another table, change the type to reference. For the table, I choose Categories. For the field, I choose ID. If a record in the Categories table is updated, take no action for this table. If a record in the Categories table is deleted, then cascade. This will delete all corresponding records in this table. The general rule is: a foreign key with cascade delete means that if a record in the parent table is deleted, then the corresponding records in the child table will automatically be deleted. The second foreign key from the users table undergoes the same treatment. The remaining fields called Title, Description, Ingredients, Step, Other, Status and created all undergo the same treatment as we have seen before. I submit the changes before embarking on the last table. The last table is called Comments. This table has foreign key fields for recipe and user. It also has a message and a date created field. The changes are submitted for the last time. Let's now see what the Changes node has to show. Here we see the changes I have made to the database. If I right-click one of the changes, we see that we can perform a number of actions on the change. We can even open the file to make changes in the code. That is, if you are daring enough. Personally, I will leave the file as is. And that is it for the database and database tables. If you have any questions, please go to the Wappler community. I will leave the link below. The next video will be devoted to setting up a layout for the admin module. I hope to see you there. Thank you for watching.